Hey, I'm Mzansi and welcome to Farmers Inside Track episode 178. I'm your host, Donumdu. Now, according to agricultural economist Lunathi Hlakanyane, citrus, poultry and cannabis are the low-hanging fruits Mzansi's farmers should be considering to either diversify or pursue as a new commodity in 2023. Food for Mzansi commercial journalist Octavius Pandil joins us now chatting to agri-economist Lunathi Hlakanyane. Over to you, Octavia.
Lunathi, which three commodities should farmers be looking at to expand their operations in Mzansi for 2023?
A prudent approach when deciding which agri-commodities to pursue is finding a perfect equilibrium between risk, yield, and market appetite. And to this end, I think citrus, poultry, and cannabis are perfect low-hanging fruit.
Can you share some insights on the three markets that you have just shared?
Chicken is by far the most popular meat in the country. The last time I checked, per capita consumption was nesting at around 39.7 kg. And although current economic pressures have sort of depressed economic activity within this space, but the latest data is actually revealing that we might see 2% increase demand over the next year, which would significantly tower over the 1.9 tons that we expect to attain by the end of this year. And so for anyone looking to not put all of their eggs in one basket, I think poultry production might just be where you want to start. Well, in the previous year alone, citrus accounted for 25% of South Africa's total agricultural exports, which was up from a base of 19% only 3 years before that. And despite the EU's incredibly punitive restrictions, which it imposed on SA's citrus exports in July of this year, what we're seeing from the latest data is that the sector is actually projected to grow by 4% by the end of the year, which in theory translates to a total of roughly about 165 million packages, which would be an improvement of 7 million packages from the previous year. And this is particularly impressive when you consider the fact that the South African citrus industry has been growing consistently at an annual rate of about 10 million packages since 2016. And so I think for any farmer looking to diversify their operation into something new and incredibly lucrative, the citrus industry is really worth looking into. Over the past 2 years, we've seen quite a lot of interest in cannabis for both its medicinal benefits as well as its commercial potential. And in fact, the latter has culminated in the cannabis industry's current evaluation of 28 billion rands. And the sector, of course, does continue to show huge signs of growth. It does continue to show a potential to ameliorate South Africa's unemployment crisis. And the great thing about cannabis is that as a commodity, it is generally low labor intensive. Its inputs are generally or perhaps relatively inexpensive. And the added bonus for South African farmers is that we have the perfect ecological/environmental conditions to produce cannabis at scale.
And finally, what are your thoughts around the emerge of agri-tech platforms that aim to accelerate the commercialization of smallholder farmers?
Well, I think the emergence of innovative agri-tech solutions is going to radically redefine agricultural production, the trade of agricultural commodities, and ultimately the very DNA of farming. A very good example of this, and perhaps a startup that perfectly embodies the essence of what I'm saying, is the Abelusi Livestock Management System, or quite simply Abelusi, which essentially seeks to eliminate one of the cardinal pillars of market failure, that is information asymmetry. And it does this through a pricing mechanism that's anchored to an end-to-end data transparency model. So through this pure technological ingenuity, Abelusi solves in the click of a button what I think are some of the most pervasive structural pressure points in the industry. So in closing, agri-tech solutions are not only inevitable, but I would argue that they are essential for the long-term sustainability of the agricultural sector.
And that brings us to the end of this edition. Thanks, Octave, and it's always great having you on Farmers Inside Track, Lunathi. Great insights. Now, for more on this topic, do visit www.foodformzansi.co.za. From me, Donumdu, Octavius Pandil, and our producer, Megan van Vent, and the rest of the Food for Mzansi team, have an absolutely amazing week. Bye for now.
Life in South Africa can be a lot. I mean, scroll through Twitter for a minute and tell me I'm wrong. Thank God for South Africans though, right? We're inspiring, and even on the bad days, we fight back with a smile. That's why I love Food for Mzansi so much. They're not ashamed to celebrate the ordinary unsung heroes who work every day to put food on our nation's tables. Go to foodformzansi.co.za and never miss an inspiring story.